$827. That's the new maximum old age security payment for seniors 75 and older, and it's already landed in bank accounts across Canada. Concerned. But here's what almost nobody is talking about. Buried inside this same payment cycle is a clawback threshold change that could quietly reduce or completely eliminate that payment for thousands of seniors who think they're safe. If your net income is anywhere close to certain numbers I'm about to share, you need to hear this before your next payment arrives. Before we get into it, if you find this kind of clear, honest breakdown helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. Encouraging. It genuinely motivates us to keep digging through the confusing government updates so you don't have to, and it helps us keep bringing you accurate, timely pension content every single week. Welcome back to CPP OAS Weekly Update. Today, we're breaking down exactly what changed with your old age security and Canada pension plan payments, what the new numbers mean for your monthly income, and most importantly, the one clawback rule that could catch a lot of seniors off guard this year. Stay with me until the end because I'm going to walk you through the exact income thresholds you need to watch and a simple way to check whether you're affected. Let's start with the good news, because there is some. On Wednesday, July 29, 2026, Service Canada deposited the newest round of old age security payments, and for the first time this year, seniors saw the largest single increase of 2026 so far. OAS is reviewed every 3 months to keep pace with the cost of living, and this quarter, the increase came in at 1.2%. Now, what does that actually mean in dollars? For seniors aged 65 to 74, the new maximum monthly OAS payment rose to $751.97. For seniors 75 and older who already receive a higher base amount, the new maximum climbed to $827.17 per month. Let that sink in for a moment. If you're in the older age bracket and receiving the full amount, you're now looking at just over $9,000 a year from OAS alone. That's a meaningful bump, especially with grocery and utility costs still weighing heavily on fixed incomes. But here's where it gets more complicated, and this is the part I really want you to pay attention to. This July payment wasn't just a routine quarterly bump. 3 separate things happened at the exact same time, all bundled into that one deposit. Most seniors have no idea all 3 were happening together. The first, as we just covered, is the 1.2% OAS increase. The second is something called the annual GIS reset, which affects anyone receiving the guaranteed income supplement. And the third is a rollover of the OAS clawback thresholds for a brand new recovery period. Each one of these can move your payment up or down, sometimes by a noticeable amount. Let's talk about that second piece, the GIS reset, because this one surprises a lot of people every single year. If you receive the guaranteed income supplement along with your OAS, your GIS amount gets recalculated annually based on your income from the previous tax year. This year, that means your 2025 income determined your new GIS payment starting in July. Here's the tricky part. Even if your financial situation has actually improved or stayed exactly the same in 2026, your GIS payment could still go down because the calculation is looking backward at last year's numbers, not this year's. On the flip side, if your 2025 income was lower than the year before, you might see a welcome increase. This is exactly why so many seniors call Service Canada confused every July, wondering why their deposit looks different than expected. It's not a mistake. It's the system doing its annual recalculation, and it happens quietly without much warning. So here's a simple tip. If your July payment looked different from June, whether higher or lower, log into your My Service Canada account and check the breakdown. It only takes a few minutes, and it will show you exactly how your OAS, GIS, and any other supplements were calculated for this new period. Now, let's move to the part that concerns the most people, and honestly, the part that deserves the most attention. This is the OAS clawback, officially called the OAS recovery tax, and it just got new thresholds for the current period. Here's how the clawback works, in plain terms. If your net annual income rises above a certain government-set threshold, you have to repay part of your OAS pension. The higher your income climbs above that line, the more you have to repay, and if your income is high enough, your entire OAS payment can be reduced to 0. For the current period, which runs from July 2026 through June 2027, the income level where OAS starts getting reduced is around $86,900. But the number that really matters, the one where your OAS disappears completely, is approximately $154,700 for seniors aged 65 to 74. For seniors 75 and older, because your base OAS amount is higher, that full elimination threshold sits a bit higher too, at approximately $160,450. I want to be clear, these are approximate figures based on the current inflation-adjusted formula, so I always recommend confirming your exact number against Service Canada's official rate card since it can be refined slightly. Now, you might be thinking that income level sounds high, surely that doesn't apply to me, and for many seniors that's true. But here's the curiosity trigger I promise to keep coming back to throughout this video. There are some very common, very ordinary financial moves that can accidentally push a modest income senior over that threshold even just for 1 year. Think about a large RRIF withdrawal. Maybe you needed to take out extra money for a home repair, a medical expense, or to help a grandchild. Or think about selling a rental property or cottage and reporting a capital gain. Even a one-time inheritance handled the wrong way can bump your reported net income for that year. If any of those things happen to you in 2025, it's worth taking a few minutes to check your notice of assessment and see where your net income actually landed. Because remember, this year's clawback is based on last year's income, so a big financial event in 2025 could be quietly reducing your OAS payments right now in 2026, and you might not have connected the dots. Let's shift now to the Canada Pension Plan, because I know a lot of you have been asking why your CPP payment didn't change this July when your OAS did. This is actually one of the most common points of confusion, so let's clear it up completely. Unlike OAS, which is reviewed every 3 months, CPP is only adjusted once a year, every January. So while your OAS went up on July 29th, your CPP amount stayed exactly the same as it was in June, and it will stay the same all the way through December. This is by design. CPP is funded differently than OAS. OAS comes from general government tax revenue, while CPP is funded through contributions made throughout your working years, either by you, your employer, or both if you were self-employed. Because of that difference in funding, the two programs follow completely separate rules for how and when they're adjusted. One more important difference worth knowing: CPP has no income-based clawback at all. No matter how much other income you earn, your CPP payment amount stays exactly what you qualified for based on your contribution history. The clawback rules we talked about earlier apply only to OAS, never to CPP. So if you're planning your retirement income and trying to figure out how much you might lose to the recovery tax, remember that your CPP is untouched by that calculation. It's really only your OAS that needs careful income planning around. Now let's talk about the payment schedule going forward, because I know many of you like to plan your budgets around exact dates. After the July 29th deposit, the remaining old age security and CPP payment dates for 2026 are August 27th, September 25th, October 28th, November 26th, and December 22nd. You'll notice December's payment comes a little earlier than usual, on the 22nd instead of near the end of the month. That's intentional. Service Canada moves the December deposit earlier every year to make sure it clears before the holiday banking schedule slows things down. Here's something else worth watching for. The next quarterly OAS review happens in October, and it will be based on cost of living data collected from May through July of this year. Early indicators are already suggesting another increase is likely, though nothing is confirmed yet. We'll be covering that update the moment it's officially announced, so keep an eye out for that video. Let's pause here for a moment and talk about what all of this actually means for your day-to-day life. If you're someone who receives both OAS and GIS with no other significant income, this July's changes were almost entirely positive. Your OAS went up, and depending on your 2025 income, your GIS may have adjusted favorably too. But if you're someone with a higher income, perhaps from a private pension, rental income, or investment withdrawals, this is exactly the moment to sit down and check where you fall relative to those clawback thresholds. A short conversation with a tax professional, or even just 20 minutes reviewing your My Service Canada account, can save you from an unpleasant surprise on next year's tax return. I also want to mention something practical for anyone who felt confused or caught off guard by this July's payment changes. You are never alone in this. Service Canada's call center can walk you through exactly how your specific payment was calculated, and your local Service Canada office can help in person if you prefer speaking face-to-face. There's no shame in asking for a clear explanation. These systems are genuinely complicated, even for people who work with them every day. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one simple action step. Whatever your situation, whether your payment went up, down, or stayed the same, take 5 minutes this week to log into my Service Canada account and review your latest deposit breakdown. It's the single easiest way to catch any errors early and make sure you're receiving everything you're entitled to. I also want to gently remind you that this channel, CPP OAS Weekly Update, is not affiliated with the Government of Canada or Service Canada. We're an independent educational resource built specifically to help seniors like you understand these programs in plain, honest language without the confusing government jargon. So here's what I'd love for you to do next. If this video helped clear up even one confusing part of your OAS or CPP payments, give it a thumbs up so more seniors can find this information too. Drop a comment below and let me know which part surprised you the most, whether it was the clawback thresholds, the GIS reset, or the CPP timing difference. I read every single comment, and your questions often shape our next video topics. And please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. New pension updates come out every single week right here, and with all these moving pieces between OAS, CPP, and GIS, you really don't want to miss the next one, especially with that October review coming up. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.